One of the questions that I had when I first started my training years ago was, what pre-workout nutrition do I need to have before I start my workout? How much protein do I need? How much carbohydrate do I need? What type of protein? What type of carbohydrate? It seems that there's so much information out there, it's confusing for beginners that are just starting out. Here's my advice. First and foremost, why do you need a pre-workout? Well, pre-workout protein has been shown in research by the American Journal of Physiology, Endocrinology, and Metabolism that taking a pre-workout protein has been shown to build more muscle during your post-workout than not having a pre-workout protein. What does that mean? In other words, if you take a pre-workout protein, in other words, protein before you start your training, you will build more muscle in your recovery than somebody who just goes to the gym and does not have any pre-workout protein. So the clinical research is there. It is clear if you're going into the gym to lift weights and even to do high intensity interval training, you need to have a pre-workout protein of some type. Now, what is it? What can you have? My suggestion is if in the last 2 to 3 hours of your training session, you've had some kind of protein-rich food in terms of whole food forms of protein in the last 2 to 3 hours, then you don't need to be concerned with pre-workout protein because you've already had it 2 or 3 hours ago and your body's still breaking it down. And so the idea is that your body's breaking it down, that protein into amino acids, the building blocks of protein, which your body will use to build brand new protein structures, therefore build muscle. Now, if you haven't had protein in the last 2 to 3 hours in the form of whole food forms of protein, then you'll need to have a pre-workout protein shake, some kind of pre-workout protein shake. The most popular one is whey protein, W-H-E-Y, whey protein. Having whey protein within 30 minutes of your training session will give you the protein requirements you need to get through your workout. How much protein do you need? The clinical research says anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of protein pre-workout is all you need to stimulate maximum muscle growth during your recovery. So the amount of protein you need varies depending on a number of factors such as age, your metabolism, and whether you have, IGF-1 or your cortisol levels. There's many different factors that influence exactly how much protein you need. Keep it simple. Between 20 to 40 grams of protein before your workout, whey protein isolate or whey protein concentrate, it doesn't matter provided you're getting a good quality whey protein. You can have that with water, you can have that with skim milk, you can have that with almond milk, you can have that with, just water, as I said. It doesn't have to be with milk, it can be with water, it's up to you. And you'll have that within 30 minutes of your training session. So that is your pre-workout protein requirement. The next part of the question is, how much carbohydrate do you need before your workout? Now, you don't have to have carbohydrate before your workout. Carbs are energy. Carbohydrate is going to give you the energy to help you get through your workout. So if you decide to have a carbohydrate in the form of whole food forms of carbohydrate, then on your screen right now, I'll bring up a list so you can see it on your screen now, is a suggested list of carbs that you can have within about 30 minutes of your training session, which you'll see on your list there. You can pick from any of the following on the list. There's much more than this. This is a few things that I've come up with. You can have some dates, you can have bananas, you can have oats, raisins, you can have watermelon. Anything on that list is fine. Now, usually it's recommended to have high GI carbohydrates or high glycemic index carbohydrates. The reason being is because we want to get that carbohydrate, we want to spike your insulin as fast as possible. And essentially what we're doing is by spiking insulin, insulin has an anti-catabolic effect, right? So it reduces muscle breakdown. So I'll talk more about this in other courses, but right now it's a crash course. So keep it simple. So look for a high GI carbohydrate, anything that I listed before, and I'll throw it up on your screen once more again. 30 grams worth of these carbohydrates, approximately 30 grams worth of these carbohydrates within 30 minutes of your training session. And if you need help, you can always use MyNetDiary, which is a mobile phone app, and you can type in the carbohydrate of your choice and it will give you an idea of what 30 grams of carbohydrate is equivalent to in serving sizes or portion sizes and that kind of thing. So you might think it's a lot of work. It's not. Once you figure out, once you have an idea of the carbohydrate you want as your pre-workout, and once you figure out the portion size, that will give you about 30 to 40 grams of carb pre-workout, then you can pretty much have that with your protein before you go into the gym. What I used to do was I'd have 30 grams of whey protein and I'd get my oats and I'd put it inside my protein shake and I'd shake it up and I'd have that within 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes before my training session. So that's what you can do. If you don't want a pre-workout carbohydrate, you don't have to have one. You can just have, if you're not sensitive to caffeine, you can have a caffeine shot or an espresso, or an espresso, a double espresso or a single espresso shot if you're not sensitive to caffeine. And that will give you the boost that you need to have the intensity that you need to have to get the most out of your workout. So that's completely up to you. And in terms of fat, now I don't usually recommend that you have any kind of fat before your workout. The reason being is because fat will slow down the absorption of whey protein and carbohydrate. And the idea is we want whey protein, which is a fast absorbing protein. We want that to absorb into your bloodstream to get to your muscles the amino acids necessary to start rebuilding muscle tissue the moment we start breaking it down. So fat will actually put the brakes on that process and slow things down. So I don't recommend having any kind of fat pre-workout. So to sum this up right now, is that I've got this nice rule of thumb. I call it 30-30-30, right? 30-30-30. What does that mean? Within 30 minutes of your training session, you'll have 30 grams of protein, ideally whey protein, either whey protein concentrate or whey protein isolate, and you'll have that with 30 grams of carbohydrate. Ideally, you want high GI carbohydrates, high glycemic index carbohydrates. Without explaining what that means, you can go to Google and type in high GI carbohydrate, and there are many people out there which will give you lists of high GI carbohydrates to select from. I've only given you a very short list that you can pick and choose from. So I hope this was helpful. I explain all of this in much more detail in my Ultimate Body course. So check it out. You can go to my website, seekfitlife.com, and you can check out my comprehensive courses where I explain all of this stuff in great detail. But I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to discussing more of this in the next video. Thank you for watching.